Are not here yet. It's our understanding that Mike Pompeo will not be here. Rather than wait on Robert Tillman, we're going to go ahead and get started, and if he's not here, then we want to give Thomas Jefferson our ear for being here. And so with no further ado, I'm going to let him give a 3-minute opening statement. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, and thank you to Eldorado and the leadership for having us here today. And Becky Wolf, of course, would like to say a special thank you to her. This is the time of night I like to speak. There's not a lot of people, but they're the ones that care. You know, they're the ones that really stuck it out, and they said, well, we want to hear somebody speak. Anyhow, I wrote a speech, so I'm going to read the speech. I am Thomas Jefferson, and for those of you who may not know me, I'm a computer guy. If your computer breaks, then I show up. I'm 43 years old, married with 3 children, and I live in Wichita, Kansas. One of the things that I would like to speak about is Mr. Mike Pompeo for just a moment. I like Mike, and I know that I'm not alone in this because he is a great guy. But I feel that he is failing us in the lower house of Congress, but so are all of the other congressmen. He's done a comparatively good job to other members of the lower house, but he's really overqualified to be there. He's an establishment guy, which is fine, but his curriculum vitae is really that of a senator or a vice presidential draft pick, but not of a congressman. Are we going to like Mike Pompeo so much that we're going to do the same thing that we did to Ron Paul? Now, Ron Paul, who we like and is a great candidate, tried to get out of the lower house of Congress for 24 years, and we kept voting him back in. He ran for president on the Libertarian ticket, our party, and then he ran 4 other primaries on the Republican ticket, but we kept putting him back in his place. Now, 34 out of 44 times that we've elected a president of the United States, it has been a senator or a governor. Now, Mike Pompeo went to West Point and an Ivy League school. Well, Dwight David Eisenhower went to West Point, and George Herbert Walker Bush went to an Ivy League school. So I really think that he's well established, well educated, well heeled. But to get to that level, it takes a lot of money. And I looked up the official campaign records posted for Mr. Pompeo's campaign, and as of October 17th, he had raised $1.8 million for a $174,000 per year job, which tells me he is great at raising funds. But of that $1.8 million, $1.1 million came from large private contributions, and $14,000 came from people like you and me. This can create Republican establishment first, contributing constituents second, and the rest of us third. Now, I'm done with my speech about, bad politics as usual. What are we going to do better? When you go into the voting booth, you're going to take 2 people with you, you and me, Thomas Jefferson. And that's the only 2 people. You're not going to take the Democratic establishment, you're not taking the Republican establishment, and you're not taking the Libertarian establishment. We don't have one. When I get to Washington, I don't have to answer to anyone but the constituents. So when you go in, is that time? Okay, we'll get to the rest of it later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And is our other candidate here yet? We're going to go ahead. I have a couple of questions for Thomas, and he has agreed to answer them. And so one of the questions, and he has already answered that, is what is something positive you can say about the other 2 representatives? And I appreciate him in saying that. Here's one. Do you support government funding of producing alternative forms of energy such as wind energy?
First of all, I'm going to use my graphic, and then I'm going to answer the question, because I wanted to use my graphic. It's the end of my speech. This is a 2-party system, Republican and Democrat, red and blue. But if you add white, which is your independent, and that's the picture you get. So that's the end of my speech. Sorry to take time out of the answer. Yes, I support that. I support wind tax credits, but not wind energy is in its infancy, and I think that we need to encourage coal as well. We need to make coal better and then do more of it. But I support the wind energy tax credit, not necessarily so much as an energy bill as a jobs creation bill in Kansas. And as the technology gets better, then we're going to be able to utilize more of it. Right now, the wind energy is underutilized because we don't have a way to store the energy in the commercial power grid. So we wind up putting these fabulously tall wind turbines and spending the millions and millions of dollars, and a lot of it just blows by. And, you know, that's a shame. So the things that we need to do are develop ways to store energy, and one way is to store it in aluminum. They can store energy in aluminum now, and then they can chemically unlock the energy later, and then they can take the aluminum for reprocessing using wind power, and then they can lock it back into the aluminum and then reprocess the aluminum. And it works just like coal, but instead of burning coal, you're chemically reducing aluminum to aluminum oxide and then reprocessing it. And you can use wind turbines for that, and then you just take the aluminum and where you would take the coal. But today, wind technology is in its infancy, but because of these subsidies, we are creating jobs in Kansas. My brother is actually going through a certificate program right now at college, at another fine college, that has a wind turbine program in it. And so they're actually creating jobs in this area, and we need the jobs in this area. So for that reason, not because I'm all super gung-ho on wind energy, but I'm gung-ho on jobs in Kansas, and this provides jobs in Kansas.
What changes, if any, would you propose in the Obama health care plan?
Throw it away. Throw it out. Is that a change? Can we do that as a change? Obama, actually, I wish Mike Pompeo was here, because this is a quote of his. He says, "This is the worst piece of legislation that ever has been or shall be passed by our Congress." And they voted 33 times to repeal it. What I think is we should stop voting to repeal it, and we should start voting to replace it with something better. And here are the changes that I would put. We would have a medical savings account of $4,800. It would be a federally funded medical savings account, which means that you could spend $4,800 any way that you see fit. Eyeglasses, dental care, co-payment on your office visits with your doctor, medicines, it doesn't matter. You have $4,800 each year. At the beginning of the year, your medical savings account resets to $4,800. You can have money taken out of your paycheck pre-tax that goes into your medical savings account. Medicare for all, beginning at $250,001. The gap between the $4,800 medical savings account and the $2,051 is filled by private insurance. And then the private insurance has a backstop, and then that way they set the cap. And there's people have been going around chanting maybe for them to set the cap, leave it at that, set the cap, leave it at that. That's what they're talking about, is that it provides the backstop. And then if you have major medical through like Blue Cross, then they know we're going to do cost plus 13%, and we know that the maximum lifetime payout on you is going to be like 240,000 difference, 245,200, whatever the difference is between the two numbers. But then that way they can set their cost, and then you put a cap on the insurance and Medicare for all, not above an age limit, but above a dollar amount, so that the insurance companies don't. It really makes it so that insurance can be at a set price, and you can have a medical savings account with tax-deferred money that you can use anytime during the year. It gives you, instead of, Obamacare creates a tax detriment if you don't do the individual mandate, and this provides 2 tax credits instead of a tax detriment if you don't.
Okay, we have 1 minute left on questions. What do you think is the government's role in helping our economy to rebound?
We need to cut spending. When we cut spending, we can lower taxes. There's been a lot of talk about repealing the Bush-era tax cuts, and we can't do that today. If we do, it would have disastrous consequences on our economy. When you're coming out of a recession, you don't. I think it was Ronald Reagan said, if you hate something, tax it. So when you're coming out of the recession, we have to extend these tax cuts, but we can't afford the tax cuts at our current spending level. So what we can do is we can balance our budget. To give you an example, I think there was a bond issue in Butler County, and each citizen in Butler County spent $1.31 per citizen on this bond issue. And the state of Kansas actually finished the year with their 7.5% cash to reserve that they're supposed to have, which was $550 million or something like that. The federal government, your part of the bill, $50,100 per person. So I'm just saying, your city's doing a good job, county's doing a good job, state's doing a good job. Let's work on the federal. $50,100, that's a big number.
Okay, and now you have a 3-minute closing statement.
So there's my graphic. There's the graphic I didn't get to. Okay, the rest of the opening that I didn't get, I will use for closing. But only 2 people are going into the voting booth, you and me, and your conscience. But don't vote for the party, vote for the person. You know, a lot of times people say, I'm going to vote by my party affiliation only, and they don't research the candidates. And then you get a Barney Frank or an Anthony Weiner in office, and these aren't people that you want representing you or shouldn't want representing you. So rather than do that, learn about your candidates. And if you feel like I can vote my conscience and I can vote this candidate, then do it. But the reason I gave you the campaign report from the Pompeo campaign is I didn't use any money except the money that I had for my campaign. That means I don't behold to anybody. I don't owe anybody on November 7th except you, constituents. And what I would like everyone to do, or at least 162,000 people in this district to do, go in and vote for Thomas Jefferson. And then send me an email. Go to my website, send me an email, and say, I just voted for you, and now you owe me. And I'll get it. I'll understand. I will owe you. Because it's going to be this side of miraculous if I get elected. This is a David and Goliath story. So the only people that I'll have any beholding to is God Almighty and the voting constituents, because that's the only way I'm going to get in. But when I get to Washington, the message I'm going to take is clear. I'm going to say, good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. Thomas Jefferson is back. George Washington, Sam Adams, and Ben Franklin are not far behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Thomas Jefferson, and we appreciate you very much being here with us this evening. Our other candidates did not show up, so I would like to end this evening with thanks to all of you who came this evening. Thanks for your interest. Thanks for your support of your candidates. And on behalf of the leadership Butler, I would like to say drive safely and good evening.